Please stop wasting your money on x3D CPUs. These are the very words that I said in a YouTube short a couple of months ago, and it's fair to say that it didn't go down very well. We had a lot of confusion, a lot of people very angry with pitchforks saying, who the hell is this guy? Why is he spouting a load of rubbish? This is an x3D CPU, the 9800 x3D. This is the best CPU you can get for gaming, and yet actually for most gaming PCs, it's not necessarily the right choice. Now, in a short format, it was very difficult to get this across and show you why this is the case. So in this video, that's exactly what I want to do, because when you're looking to build a gaming PC, you're going to be choosing between a set budget, and you're often having to decide between a better graphics card or a better CPU. So my point was always, why go for a really expensive CPU when you could essentially spend a little bit less, get a better graphics card, and get a net gain, I suppose, to frame rate overall. And this is exactly what we're going to do in this video. We have a 9800 x3D, we have a 5060 Ti, and for the same price, you could instead get a 9070 XT, and then an inferior CPU, the 9600X. So let's see exactly which would be the best combination. Those are the two components that are going to dictate your frame rate. So let's see what wins, which is going to be better, x3D CPU or a cheaper CPU and better graphics card. Right after a short word from this video's sponsor. Gigabyte's Tandem OLED monitor is the bargain of the century, with top-class gaming performance and up to 1500 nits of HDR bliss. The MO27Q28G uses a 4th generation tandem WOLED panel for stunning color accuracy, infinite contrast, and super fast response times. It's 1440p, 280Hz, and even comes packing G-Sync compatibility. Level up your games today with the link down below. Welcome back then, and the place that we're going to start is indeed with our 5060 Ti 16GB system with the 9800 x3D. This can be applied to a whole host of different combinations, right? It's not literally just has to be the 9800 x3D with this. Obviously, it all comes down to price, and this is why I say when you're choosing your gaming PC, it's always very important to balance out your components to give you the best possible frame rate. There's no point spending a crazy amount of money on a graphics card and then having a CPU that costs 80 quid or dollars, but likewise, there's no point buying like a 9950 x3D for gaming if you're going to be pairing it with a B580. That's what we look to kind of prove the theory of today. And as we jump into our first game, which is going to be some Returnal, this is set to epic with ray tracing, but the point of this is that we're going to walk through like a few different games and different scenarios really, because obviously different video games have different requirements. Some are going to be more heavy on the CPU, others are going to be more heavy on the graphics card, but as always, having a good, well-balanced system is obviously going to help you in both. But if you are mainly playing esports titles, let's say, and you want to have like a 500 FPS monitor, then obviously yes, it kind of makes sense to maybe overspec your CPU a little bit in that instance. Whereas if you're looking to play like ray trace titles, like AAA games, and you're aiming for like 70 frames a second with all the bells and whistles, then obviously in that instance you could probably underspec the CPU a little bit. And boom, right, okay, benchmark has been completed. Let's have a look. It says we're getting 93 frames a second. Frame view, which is actually what we're going to use for this, says 92 with a low of 57. But now have a look at this 99 figure down here. This is not 99 FPS, this is 99%. And what this means is that in this test, in Returnal, it is our GPU that is being the bottleneck in this game 99% of the time. Which means if you wanted to step up the CPU to something even better, let's go 5 years in the future, grab a better processor, whack it in the system, run the same test, then only 1% of the time would your frame rate in theory be increasing as a result of that better CPU. Whereas if you were to upgrade the GPU, then 99% of the time, you would then be getting a higher frame rate because it is the GPU that is holding us back. And as of course you would expect, you are going to get a fair amount of variance in CSGO depending on the map and where obviously you are in the map, what's going on, smoke, all of that stuff. But you can see that even with, I don't want to say a more modest system because it's got 9800 x3D in it, but obviously not RTX 5090, we're still able to get a sky-high frame rate in something like CS, whereas it is a lot more esportsy at around about 400 to 500 frames a second or so. So it's working pretty nicely. Unfortunately for you guys, you didn't see much of that, but actually getting like benchmarking CS is really annoying because there's so much variance, so we're going to do multiple runs. So yes, we've fast forwarded now to our next game, and some of you might go, oh, this is really boring, this doesn't need a good CPU, and it does. This is actually incredibly CPU heavy. And I mean, this is currently running at the high preset, I believe, and you can actually see that for the most part, we're not bound by the CPU, but then there definitely are drops to like 92 or 95%.
at the top left-hand corner of your screen. So it's very interesting, isn't it? This is one of those games that actually, yes, you are going to need a proper CPU in order to get the best experience. But whether we're going to see much difference with a better graphics card or better CPU, I honestly am not 100% sure, so get your bets down in the comment section below. But pressing swiftly on once more to our next title, this of course is some Cyberpunk 2077. This is a title that came out quite a few years ago, but it was very demanding at the time and is still very demanding now. And in terms of frame rate, we're getting around about 90 frames a second, but there definitely are going to be bits of the city where it is going to be more intense. And likewise, when you're in the sticks, obviously you're going to get a higher frame rate. But again, you can see that in terms of our utilization on the GPU, it's around about 97-98%. So I'm going to put my arm outside the window and once again say that I reckon even with an inferior 9600X, which is only a 6-core CPU, it's not even an 8, has no 3D V-cache, I'm pretty sure we're going to get a higher frame rate in Cyberpunk.
But I could be wrong.
And I'd look silly, wouldn't I?
But right, ladies and gentlemen, I do now believe it's time to move into my personal favourite game. I know it took me ages to get into it, but I'm just so good at this. This, of course, is some Fortnite. Currently getting around about 150, 160 frames a second or so. We will be able to use some replays, so all of the numbers that we actually get, like the proper benchmarks, when we do our side-by-sides, will be as fair as they possibly can be, but this should give you a rough idea, obviously, what you can expect. So it's still a decent frame rate. This is at the settings that I personally choose to play at. Obviously, if you want to set this to performance mode, then you are going to get a much higher level of performance, but I think it's fair to say that most people are probably going to choose to play at these settings. Rightio then, folks. I do believe that those are all of our numbers complete, but obviously this would be pretty boring and meaningless without anything to compare it against. So I think the time has come to sadly say bye-bye to our 9800 X3D and replace it with our 6-core, which obviously is going to be a bit annoying for like pre-compiling shaders and things like that, but not the end of the world. 9600X CPU, and then we're going to go for our 9070 XT. Now, I will say I didn't want to like annoyingly match or mix NVIDIA with AMD because it obviously does throw in some other variables in there, but again, the whole point is not about keeping everything the same. It's just at the same budget, are you better off spending more on an x3D CPU and stepping back the graphics card a little bit, or just throw pretty much as you possibly can into the GPU, while still, hopefully, having a decent chip to kind of pair with it. Oh, and then I'm not sure how much of that you actually got before I started panicking, but the panic was correct because it turns out I had actually done all of those numbers with the CPU cooler on the 9800 X3D not actually attached properly. Now, I'm very confused because actually the test numbers we got were more or less identical. I think it was only CS where we saw any differences at all, but obviously I want to do this properly, so I took an extra hour just to go back and re-record all of that footage, re-record all of the numbers, and so you should be able to see the difference before and after now when it comes to obviously the temperatures on the CPU. It was running at about 58 rather than
85 or so.
And you may recall that before we were getting around about 94 frames a second or so. As always, you're going to get a little bit of variance depending on the exact scene, and the benchmark figures are obviously going to be slightly different, but it's a pretty big jump actually. We're now looking at around about 140 to 150 frames a second. Obviously, what you're getting now is a significantly higher frame rate because you're now able to pump more FPS in with a more powerful graphics card, and that CPU that wasn't holding us back before, well, it doesn't look like it's actually holding us back now either. But it's pretty fascinating, isn't it? Just how much difference there can be with a system that more or less costs the same amount of money, but is just configured differently with two different components. But let's run this benchmark. I need some numbers. What are we without numbers? Mere words. In the ether that is society. But right, for this next game, I think I need to come round and have a better look, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to do any epic gameplay for you. There we go. This is, again, running obviously the same settings before, so we've got this at medium. We've done a reset just to verify this is the case. And there's still a fair bit of variability, but we are looking typically between 500 and 600 frames a second. And I'll say that I've actually already done this 3 or 4 times, and I'm kind of seeing, I don't want to say similar things to what I had before, because so far the average frame rate has actually been a lot higher, but the 1% lows have been a lot lower. But I'm kind of trying to get like a really good run, because that's what I did with the 9800 X3 CPU, so I want it to be as fair as possible, but it does look fairly consistent that the 1% lows are actually less than what we were seeing on the other system, which does make sense. So 714 FPS to 241, that's the most consistent that I've seen so far The first one we did was 722 to 241. So, to anyone that's been shouting at me this whole video, well, if you play CS, anything competitive, you want the best 1% load possible, then you need a 9800 X3D. I stand by the fact you don't need a 9800 X3D, but clearly, in this scenario, you can see why it actually does make sense to basically have the best possible gaming CPU you can. However, that is this particular game, and if you only play CS, that obviously makes perfect sense, but I want to see how it works across the whole suite of the games rather than just CS. But it's certainly interesting, isn't it? So that was our test then in CS, but let's now move on to our other CPU-bound scenario. This is, of course, Planet Coaster 2 once again, but yes, you can actually see now that we're not fully utilizing all of the graphics card. We're at around about 86, 91% or so, and you can see we're getting around about 80 frames a second. I'll be interested to see the averages. 1% loads are around about 59. What does that look like when we compare it? We were getting about 82, 59 before, so it doesn't look drastically different, but let's get our averages. Oh, and the results are in. So we've got 82 average frames a second, which is exactly the same as what we had before, but now only 47 FPS on the 1% lows. So suddenly, PC-centric theory is thrown out the window. It looks rubbish. We've got a worse experience, right? I mean, in these two games, yeah. So, right, okay, at the moment, let's be frank, it's PC-centric 1, the audience and all the commenters 2. So at the moment, I look a little bit silly, but will this continue as we press on into some Cyberpunk? Is this going to be different now? So you should start to see some side by side that once again is kind of future me filming, so you'll be able to see the results better than me at this point. But we're looking at around about 115, 120 frames a second now, and our 1% low is about, what's that, 87, 90 or so? But crucially, in terms of our utilization, bar a couple of spikes here and there, we're pretty much pegged at 99 or 100% on the GPU. So I still would wager that in this game, it is going to be a fair bit better with this combination than it would be with our 5060 Ti. I mean, obviously, if you took ray tracing and things into account, you might get some differences and things. This is why I'd rather have kept it like a bit easier with like all NVIDIA GPUs to take that kind of out of the equation, but that's not actually real world because, as I say, this is what cost the same amount of money, more or less, than the first combination. 148 to 96. So we're 2 for 2 going into the final round. Who will be victorious? I mean, that is a massive difference, isn't it? We've gained 52 frames a second. And let's have a look what we had before, around about 195 to 132 on the 1% lows. Now, obviously, it is going to vary, again, depending on where we are in the game, so we get our figures in just a second, but you can see at the moment we are actually beating that at around about 215 to 184. And ladies and gentlemen, we got an average of 237 FPS to 146. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, we have proved that you're better off with a better graphics card and an inferior CPU. I make that 3-2, that's it, that's the end of the video. No, it's not. I mean, this was actually, surprise, surprise, done quite deliberately, because if you go back and you look at any of our PC build guides, and you can find a really awesome one in the top right corner of your screen, then you may have noticed that we've never recommended that anyone buys a 9800 X3D with a 5060 Ti or a 9600X with a 9070 XT. And the reason for that is pretty much what we've just shown here. There are going to be games that are going to be much more beneficial with an inferior CPU and a better GPU, but then specifically, again, in some of those really more demanding titles, so anything really that's a simulation game or anything where you're just trying to get the absolute highest frame rates possible at more esports, those favor a better CPU but a worse graphics card. Obviously, it'd be great to have both, but if you had to pick, that's potentially the combination that was going to work better for the games, as we saw. When in actual fact, what you could do is aim for something slam dunk in the middle, so say like a 9700X, or probably a better shout at the moment, a 7800 X3D. A lot of sales are available on those. And then pair that maybe with a 5070 or a 9070 non-XT, and that would probably be a lot more balanced. When I say you shouldn't buy a 9800 X3D, this can be true at the same time as saying the 9800 X3D is the best gaming CPU and is absolutely what you want in your gaming system. The two things kind of sound the opposite, but it's all about balance. There is no point over-speccing any component in your system. It's much more about getting something that is balanced. The whole point of this video, in case I need to say it one more time, was to show you just how extreme the differences can be in terms of frame rate when you're spending the more or less the exact same amount of money on those two core components, but you can get wildly different results, which is why I think you need to think very, very carefully about what is going to be the right balance for your system and buy accordingly. Because to be honest with you, whilst this system has performed a lot better in 3 out of the 5 games, as we saw, I think it would still annoy you that it wasn't quite as balanced as it could be. There's just not really any need for it to be like that. You're still going to get the compromises of only 6 cores if you're spending this money, where it's not as good as like pre-compiling. It's maybe not going to be as good as productivity if you do that. Streaming, load of applications at the same time, but obviously you get the high frame rate and other things. Just build a more balanced system and enjoy the results, essentially. So if this video has been helpful, please smash the like button. Get yourself subscribed, and if you do want to check out current pricing on any of the best bundles, so the best GPU and CPU core combinations, we will leave all the ones we actively recommend links down below, so we've done the balancing for you.
And while you're down there, why not check out Gigabyte's cutting-edge OLED monitor? This tandem OLED screen is insane, with 280Hz refresh rate on the blissful 4th generation tandem WOLED panel. This results in best-in-class HDR performance, amazing visuals, and a super slick 0.03 millisecond response time. Not only this, but Gigabyte also includes AI OLED care functions and a 3-year warranty that also covers burn-in, so you can rest assured that you're making the right upgrade. Get your game on today with the link down below.
But thank you guys so much for watching. We really hope it's been useful, and we'll catch you in the next one.